Now, let's have a conversation on the future of the country. And I also have a guest that will enable us to also look at that in the area of education, especially university education. I'd like to welcome two inside sources, the National President of the Congress of University Academics, Associate Professor Niyi Sumonu. Professor Sumonu is a professor of atmospheric physics. I'd like to welcome Prof. to inside sources.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay.
And I want to also say hello to viewers at home of this program that looks at how the country, the trajectory of the country, and profile solutions on how we can get our bearings and actually move in the right direction.
Excellent.
Thank you for having me again.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming. So it's a theme of the future of the country. So I would like to start by asking you to look at where the country is today. You are a professor, associate professor of the Obafemi Awolowo University. How do you think we are doing? Do you think Nigeria is going in the direction of greatness that all of us believe is the destiny of our country?
Yeah, once again, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, in terms of various metrics, to the layman on the street, the metric of purchasing power, where we are today is quite different from where we were before in terms of affordability, in terms of people being able to eat 3 meals a day, and all other economic metrics. As we have today,
right,
most Nigerians are finding it very difficult to eat, especially government workers, salary earners. The salaries have virtually remained stagnant for a while, and we have inflation hovering around 35%. And this came as a result of two policy statements on the inauguration day, 29th May 2023, the policy of floating of Naira and the policy of subsidy removal. But we want to believe that the managers of the country mean well, and we hope that as we move on and these policies mature,
right,
that we'll begin to see the turnaround for Nigerians. One instance is just about a couple of days back, maybe yesterday to be precise,
right,
there was a new benchmark for inflationary metrics.
Yeah, the rebasing of the...
So let us hope that as these policies and other policies that should support this mature, the Nigerians will find it easier to live their life and move in the direction of greatness. Okay. I must also say, before I conclude this thought, that Nigeria has remained a country with potentials, but we haven't lived the potential since 1960 of the independence of the country, and it's attributable to a number of things. Policy somersault, one government comes, another replaces it and change the policies for whatever reasons. But I must say at this point that our policies must be data-driven. It mustn't be about we don't like the face of the government that has gone, or we just want to make a statement that we are in power at this moment. It should be about the data for the benefit of the Nigerian masses.
Okay, excellent. I mean, excellent opening points, Dr. Sumonu. So now, I wanted to take it, forward from how you opened, talking about the difficulties that people face, living conditions. So I wanted to ask you, how is it nowadays being a university lecturer in Nigeria? Can you just paint for us, a picture of life is for the average Nigerian university lecturer? You are the national president of an association of, university teachers. How is it? How is life as a professor?
I would like to look at it from more than one perspective, at least two for this interrogation. The first one is on the welfare of an average academic. And that of an average academic is not different from an average salary earner in the country. But I'm being particular about academics. The last time we had salary restructure significantly was in 2009. That said, I must also admit that about 2 years ago, there was this wage award of 25%, 35%.
Okay.
But that said, the living conditions of academic, the purchasing power of academic. Let's take the issue of the price of premium motor spirits per liter, for example. An average academic that consumes to convey himself to work and back like an average of 30 liters in a month, when it was around 1,150 naira per liter, 185 naira per liter, that will give us about in the neighborhood of 15,000, 20,000 naira.
Yeah, when it was 185 per liter, you mean?
In a month. But let's cascade to what we have today. That will be around 50,000, 60,000 naira per month on the same salary. Not to talk of the school fees, not to talk of the feeding and all sorts. And I must use this opportunity granted us to say that the job of an academic is more of a thinker than somebody that should bother himself or herself with how to feed, how to take care of his family. And if an average academic is distracted, the quality of the product that will come out of that thought will be questionable. That is on one side, which is the welfare.
Okay.
On the other side is the facilities with which academics should work. Research facilities, research equipment, they are not there as they used to be. Some time ago, I was conditioned to look at when did the rain start beating us in terms of funding for Nigerian university. And I discovered that up and until 1976, Nigerian universities, as small as they were then, usually return unspent fund, research fund, back to the coffers of the federal government. Then, from 1976 downward, up to this point, then we've started having the problem of insufficient funding. It could be due to more universities being created, more Nigerians legitimately aspiring to have university degrees, and more academic staff or staff in the university, and also legitimately that will have to teach the teeming citizens of Nigeria aspiring to have university degrees. And since then, our funding has been dwindling and of very little impact into the system. And as such, academics no longer have, as they used to have, research facilities that will make us rank at par with other colleagues in other parts of the world. And when we lack that, Nigeria will suffer to grow when the thinkers do not have the right facilities to work. The country will suffer as a result of the low output, low quality of the thought processes that cannot be translated into reality as a result of paucity of research facilities. So on these two counts, the welfare is inadequate at the moment as we speak, is inadequate. Secondly, the research facilities are inadequate. These two issues come together to affect the performance, the rating of our universities among the Committee of Universities globally.
Okay, good. Excellent point. So will you say that the country is already suffering the effects of these two debilitating factors that you have initiated?
It's actually glaring to everyone that the country is not tapping and tasking into the quality of the minds it has in the ivory towers because of these twin factors I just enumerated. And until the needful is done, as we have currently, the government don't have that much belief in the minds, in the academic minds of the country. That is why the government officers would like to have retreats most times. They do that outside the shores of this country. And we really, if for want of appropriate word, we really boast about going to other climes, universities and other places to say that we have this 2-week program there, we have that 3 weeks program there. Meanwhile, I say this time and time again, that we can only think globally. The resultant effect of our thinking globally will still have to be adapted to our local situation.
True.
We can only act locally. No matter what we get from outside, there are some other factors that will make us adapt those situations here. And it's only Nigerian academics who are here, who are thinking about this place, who have facilities to bring into reality the problems of this place, can then profile appropriate solutions that will be commensurate, that will fit into our problems.
Interesting. So what do you think, Prof? And I know that you're an associate prof, so that we were very accurate about it. What do you think? What do you think is the major Nigerian problem? I agree with you that academics are meant to be thinkers, and I know that you are more of a scientist. But I'm sure that you must have your own perspective. If you want to think, if academics are supposed to be thinkers to solve problems, critical thinkers, in your own view, what do you think is Nigeria's toughest challenge?
I would rather want to say the question as a mix. There is no one problem that is really bigger than the other, because there is a connection between one issue to the other.
I see.
And there's no aspect of Nigerian life that you can think, when we pump resources into this, then this alone, it can then affect others positively, and you have the ripple effect. I don't want to see it that way, but I want to see it as a combination of a number of things.
Okay.
First is that if we're looking at the education, let's look at the whole gamut of education. In recent time, the government is trying to tinker about the 6334 education system.
Okay.
And coming to about, from there, it's come to 934. From there, they are thinking about having it at 1234. That is, we have continuous education for 12 years. Then if you choose to then go to the university, then you just go, or you drop off there and do some other things. Of course, it has to come with skills.
Right.
Then we look at the university side, or the tertiary education side generally. So if we are looking at education, so to say, I would say that our problem first will be about proper funding across the spectrum of education sector. Because if you say, let's focus about the funding, and please don't forget, I spoke about a combination. They are actually intertwined, even in the education sector alone.
Right.
If we look at that in isolation. Now, if you then say that you focus on the university education, or let's even generalize tertiary education, if the product from the elementary school up to the university, up to the secondary school is not sound, then what kind of motivation, which is the job of teachers in higher institutions, what kind of motivation are you going to give to that mind that is really dry, the mind that has nothing in it?
Right.
So if we look at education, we look at health, we look at so many funding, that's a common denominator across. This funding, it's not just about throwing money at something. When you allocate the fund to it, do we see through that the funds are appropriately and justifiably used for those things meant for.
Okay.
So this is part of it. Number two is that, and I've alluded to that at the opening of this discourse, that one of the problems that we have is policy somersaults. Frequent changing of policies. We try, as a union, we try to interrogate the 6334 system. We looked at where we were before the introduction of 6334 system,
right.
which, where we were before was bequeathed to us by the British, and which is 6523.
Okay.
And that we tried to change in 1982, 1983. And the facilities we need to effectively implement 6334, I make bold to say, but humbly so, that we're not there. And if they are not there, we won't get the result, the desired result. As we speak today, the British still operate 6523. So it's not just about throwing money at issues. It's about seeing through the fund. What are the things meant for? Did we follow them through? So over years later, and I'm speaking against policy summit, over years, we can then evaluate, maybe 5 years, 10 years, and this cut across all facets of our lives.
Yeah.
We can then evaluate, look at the data, what are the feedbacks that we are getting, along the line, what are the things that we then need to tweak, which will be data-centered. So this is the kind of, as from our perspective, this is what we see as the major challenges Nigeria as a people, Nigeria as a government is having. We've also tried, one example that comes to mind was we started with democracy, so to say, then just very short time, impatience, we moved into military. Then again, we came back around 1979 to democracy. It was short-lived up until 1999. Of course, this is what we have as the longest one.
Right.
So, last but not the least is patriotism and the love of the country. It's also a challenge as a person. For us, as an individual, a challenge in the sense that different persons, different Nigerians serve in different capacities.
Right.
And we should see that the common project to us is Nigeria. The fact that one person is serving in one capacity different from the other doesn't make the person better or inferior to the other person.
Right, right.
If our common focus is Nigeria as a project, and we should do that patriotically and with utmost sincerity.
I mean, then I wanted to also talk about CONUA, the Congress of University Academics. Can you tell us about that?
Well, the Congress of University Academics came into being precisely in February 2018. There was nothing like Congress of University Academics, CONUA, before 2018. Of course, there were issues. What we had before 2018 was ASU, which is the Academic Staff Union of Universities, to which all academics in the universities in Nigeria belonged, or virtually all academics belonged, because we have very few who just choose to remain unassociated with any union,
right,
as it were. So, but we had issues which started in 2013 CONUA started, by the way, in the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Nigeria.
Okay.
So in 2013, there were issues about, and I will briefly touch on it, and I hope we'll have another opportunity to expand this discourse. There were issues about election, and there was this complaint about one office or two thereabout when the election was completed. And instead of disqualifying the officers or those who vied for those two offices, the National Executive Council of ASU then, in their wisdom, did a wholesome cancellation of that election. But because it's a union we all belong to, and we trusted the leadership, we're still there. And then there was this election of another election in 2016, unknown to us probably, and the benefit of hindsight now, it was just about a calculation towards a vice chancellorship selection in 2016 in OAU. And I say this because that executive sold out to a particular candidate among other candidates vying for the position of the vice chancellor
in
OAU. And that divided the membership of the union. But that is actually not the issue for us. For us as a people, our issue is about that union that we belong to, the love we had for it. And there were other violations of constitutional violations to which we reported to the national executive then. But our report to them was like, who are you? On what ground are you raising all this? You are not an executive, and what have you? But to cut the long story short, on 20th October 2016, there was a Congress duly called, and it degenerated in the heated argument. Of course, it was still verbal arguments. And instead of the leadership at the local level to address the matter, they just walked out.
The local leaders of ASU,
yes, at OAU, walked out of the Congress.
You know, which is the members of the...
Yes, and that...
And the Congress is the highest...
at the local level.
At local level.
At the local level. And that Congress was well attended.
So all the executives of...
The presiding officers, which were about 2, and all of that executive that sat with in the audience, they walked out. And members felt insulted. Mind you, that Congress was well attended because of the issue at stake. And the issue at stake was the selection of vice chancellor in OAU.
This was in 2016, okay.
This was 20th October 2016 precisely, which had degenerated.
So it would seem that the leadership of ASU then favored a particular...
Yes, I mentioned it.
VC candidate.
Yes, I mentioned it now so that
the majority of the members didn't want
Yes, I take it off from you so that it will be me speaking to it.
Right.
That the leadership at that level sold out to one of the candidates. There were 11 contestants. At that time, 11 or 13.
And the members didn't want that.
No.
The members wanted what?
The members wanted give everyone fair playing ground. Whoever emerges, it is still one person that we emerge.
So basically, the members didn't want us to take a
position,
a preference.
Or yes, a preference.
But the leaders felt they should.
Yeah.
And in the discussion, they walked out.
Yes, it degenerated and they walked out.
So what happened next?
And next, the members felt insulted and nominated 3 persons as in the interim to conclude that meeting and possibly continue to lead until the national will intervene and resolve the matter. And that's how I came into the picture. So
did the national try to resolve it?
Well, national in its own wisdom attempted to resolve it, but what they eventually came up with from 2016 October up till February 4th, 2018, there were about 2 or 3 committees. The highest committee that was sent was the Committee of Trustees, which was convened by Comrade Alhaji Hassan Somono, who came to Ife.
Former NLC
president 3 times. The first came, I can't recollect now, but it came 3 times.
Are you related? Because you have the same last name, by the way.
We are not related.
Okay.
But I'm fortunate to know him as a person.
Right.
So, by 4th February 2018 at the NEC that held in Gombe State University, expulsion, suspension, those 2 terminologies were pronounced on over 700 academics in OAU.
So the national executive
that was their way
over 700.
That was their way of resolving
OAU lecturers.
Yes, that was
ASU.
Yes, that was their way of resolving the matter.
Oh wow. Okay. So that was how you guys now felt that well.
That resolution.
We're already expelled.
We felt it's very unfair. We felt so, but we will not dehumanize ourselves on something that is voluntary. Unionism is voluntary.
Right.
If you are employed as an academic, your beat is to teach, carry out research, and community service. Unionism is voluntary and secondary.
Right.
It's equally important, especially in the situation where your rights will be denied you. You need unions to then fight for your rights from the university authorities or even the government, either at the state level or at the federal level. So we will not dehumanize ourselves as freeborns in this country and as free thinkers, right-thinking person, academics. So we then had to come together. 8 days interval, we had to come together because we were, the three persons I mentioned to you the other time were a product of a Congress. So we then called the Congress to report to the Congress the decision of the national. What I had in mind actually was just I would not dehumanize myself as a person. Unionism is voluntary. I would just face my research and teaching. But the Congress thought otherwise. The Congress felt they were dehumanized, they were not dignified, and said, no, we can start another one. And that's how on 12th February 2018, the name CONUA came into being.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's good to know that the idea of multiple or more than one union, for university lecturers is something that is, like you said, a global practice. Like they always say, the sky is wide enough for
everyone,
for all kinds of birds,
yes,
to fly. Thank you so much, and thank you for for your service as the national president of CONUA. And thank you also for your service as an academic. A professor of atmospheric physics is a rarefied feat.
Thank you very much for having us on this program.
Thank you.
We really appreciate this, and we hope that together, because our common patrimony is the country.
Yeah,
and we hope that the government will see us as partners in progress. Criticism, constructive one, will help every one of us, and Nigeria will be better for it. Thank you very much once again for having us.
Thank you so much for coming to Inside Sources.
Yeah, thank you.
We believe that this country is going to get to that greatness that we all desire and believe in. And that's why we always say Nigeria will prevail. It means that Nigeria will win because we will not relent. Thank you for watching Inside Sources today. My name is Laulu Akonde. I'll see you at the next edition.